Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news. The education minister rips into Hubert Chipman over his damning letter on the boundaries report.
Controversial lawyer Fred Smith weighs in on that legal matter concerning the Boundaries Commission report. That story straight ahead.
The Democratic National Alliance adds 4 new candidates to the slate. That story is coming up straight ahead.
Plus, inside the Privy Council's special sitting. Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina McNeil. Topping news tonight, St. Anne's Member of Parliament Hubert Chipman says his letter to House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major alleging changes were made to the Boundaries Commission report after he signed the document was misinterpreted. Today, Marathon MP Jerome Fitzgerald questioned whether Chipman was actually pressured to pen the letter. Kyle Joaquin reports.
Fitzgerald said he's anxious to see the outcome of tomorrow's court proceedings with regards to that Boundaries Commission report. But he said he's still left disappointed in his longtime friend Hubert Chipman and his reasoning behind writing that letter to House Speaker Dr. Kendall Major.
And there's no doubt in my mind whatsoever for someone to make a 360 or 180 turn the way he did, that he must have been under tremendous pressure to sign a letter like that, which, as I said, did not reflect the Speaker. Of course, was taken aback at it. It impugned the reputation of all of us, really.
Chipman said in the letter that the document he signed was not the one tabled in Parliament. But Fitzgerald today said he's disappointed in the St. Anne's MP because he feels his letter to the House Speaker does not paint a true picture of the Boundaries Commission's work. He said all of Chipman's questions were answered, even up to the day he signed the report.
In fact, that morning, before we signed, he made the point to the Deputy Prime Minister that he didn't sign the last report in 2012 or 2011. And he had a copy of the letter, and the Deputy Prime Minister indicated to him why he did not sign it. And so, at the end of the day, he was fully aware of what his constitutional rights were.
Supreme Court Justice Ian Winder is expected to hand down his decision tomorrow following a legal challenge by Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Rollins and Montague MP Richard Lightbourne. They are seeking a judicial review of the Boundaries report, which was completed months after the constitutionally mandated deadline. Fitzgerald said he really wants to know why the peer is seeking to slow down the election process.
Neither of them are running, from what I understand. Neither of them have a seat to run in. They have not declared that they plan to run this election, and so I don't know what the motive is. The reasons that they gave for challenging, when you look at the 3 reasons, none of them are really valid or to me have any legal merit whatsoever.
Fitzgerald also hit back at Rollins, who declared that he would do whatever it takes to get back with the F&M. Fitzgerald says it's no surprise as Rollins has proven himself to be a political prostitute extraordinaire.
There's no doubt about it. I won't be surprised if late one night you're driving along Dowswell Street and you see him on the side of the road waiting to be picked up by the next political party, whoever that is. I mean, he has had 5 years and he has squandered his opportunity as a member of Parliament. And I think at the end of the day, he will go down in the annals of political history as someone who has jumped from pillar to post.
Reporting for our news, I'm Kyle Joaquin.
Well, outspoken attorney Fred Smith is slamming the government's decision to go ahead and gazette the 2017 Constituencies Commission report, despite the fact that 2 opposition MPs are seeking a judicial review into the constitutionality and legality of the report. Jasmine Brown reports.
Smith says the way he sees it, the Speaker of the House of Assembly has once again overstepped his boundaries, considering the case is still making its way through the legal system.
The Speaker is absolutely wrong.
Fort Charlotte MP Dr. Rollins and Montague MP Richard Lightbourne, through their lawyer Michael Scott, initiated the legal action challenging the constitutionality and legality of the 2017 Boundaries report. The trio appeared before Justice Ian Winder last Thursday for a hearing on the matter. Winder must determine if there is a case to be heard for judicial review. The day before that hearing occurred, Rollins had attempted to stop the 2017 Boundaries report from being tabled and debated, only to be repeatedly shut down by the House Speaker. While that did not sit well with Smith, who likened this to the Save the Bays matter in which Justice Indra Charles handed down a controversial injunction prohibiting MPs from disclosing private emails in the House of Assembly.
As you know, Fred Mitchell and Jerome Fitzgerald have been complaining in the Save the Bays constitutional case about reading our emails in Parliament and saying the the Supreme Court doesn't have supervisory jurisdiction over Parliament. Well, it does. If we are to be a civil society, our Supreme Court must be respected as the final adjudicator of civil issues in the Bahamas. Otherwise, we may as well just go around, you know, taking machetes and chopping people's head off. Oh, but I better not say that because I might be accused of subversion under the new Spy Act.
Despite the pushback, Smith commended Rollins and Lightburn for their actions, insisting he believes they have made a strong case.
I think it's wonderful that judicial review is being used to test the boundaries of our jurisprudence.
Meantime, Scott says the gazetting of the report on Friday has not derailed their plans, as he says he intends to take the case as far as the Privy Council if needed. Winder is expected to hand down his decision on Tuesday. Reporting for our news, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And amid concerns over the Parliamentary Registration Department's ability to oversee a smooth general election process, the Assistant Parliamentary Commissioner in Grand Bahama says he is very concerned that people who have not proven that they are eligible to vote in the upcoming election were allowed to register. Vonique Toot reports.
Assistant Parliamentary Commissioner Reno Smith is calling for certain names to be removed from the voter register, asserting that some people who have failed to produce proper documents have been allowed to register to vote in the upcoming general election. Smith said though this matter is above his pay grade, it is cause for concern.
We are seeing, and I am, you know, I'm a civil servant and I try to be loyal to the government of the day. I've never disenfranchised my office in any which way. I've never brought reproach to the office. But since the powers that be did change the ruling and said persons can come in and register with their cards, we have seen some persons who should not have registered. But again, in fairness to my superiors, they did say at the discretion of the revising officer.
Smith said as of Friday, nearly 75% of eligible voters on Grand Bahama had registered to vote at one of 10 registration centers on the island. However, he suggested not all of those people should be allowed to cast their ballot on election day.
And so we're going to recommend that certain persons be strucken from the voters registration list because they never produce any birth certificates or passport. They cannot prove that they're Bahamians. We've had someone who was able to get in at one of the centers. I had to call the Registrar General's office this morning, and there is no record of this person ever being born in this Bahamas with a unique name that's not unique to the Bahamas. And so things like that we're very concerned about, but that's above my pay grade. That's with the powers that be who said we must accept the voter's card.
Smith urged revising officers to use their discretion and ensure that registrants present certain documents.
The revising officer should check the system and see what they used previously. If they just used a voter's card previously, they should have used a passport or something. All right, and I must confess, I was one of those who did not previously use a voter's card. A passport.
The Parliamentary Registration Department began distributing the new purple voters cards on Friday. Voters who registered before that day can pick up their cards as of March 6. Due to boundary cuts on the island, he said some voters will mark their X in different constituencies this election.
We are happy to report that Grand Bahama is nearly 75% registered.
Despite his concerns, the Assistant Parliamentary Commissioner urged the remaining eligible voters on Grand Bahama to register, noting no one knows when the bell will be rung. Reporting for our News, I'm Vonique Toot.
Now that a 39th seat is up for grabs in the 2017 general election, the Democratic National Alliance is wasting no time in naming more candidates who will run on the party's slate. Giorgio Bain tells us more.
The Democratic National Alliance nears the completion of their slate of candidates by adding 4 new members, including a candidate for the newly named seat of St. Barnabas. Sports reporter at Jones Communication Network, Jareno Saunders, is the DNA's candidate for the newly created St. Barnabas constituency, which consists of polling divisions from several areas considered to be PLP strongholds. However, Saunders remains confident, asserting a DNA government would strengthen the Ministry of Sports.
We will require more from the Ministry of Sports that has been largely ineffective over the last 5 years. and has seemingly been swallowed up by the Ministry of Tourism and local government.
Former professional golfer, former police officer, and restaurant owner Samuel Kemp will be running for the North Andros and Berry Island seat, while IT professional Samuel Strawn will be going after the Cat Island, Rumkey, and San Salvador seat.
Our country has been run by too much cynicism, cronyism, and nepotism. And the salacious way of how business is being done by the present government has driven up the national debt.
At least 10 miles of paved or sealed roads will be completed within 18 months of coming to office. Cat Islanders know the plight of potholes.
And the 8th woman to join the DNA slate, Stephanie Lightbourne, hopes to unseat Transport and Aviation Minister Glenys Hannah Martin in the Eggleston constituency. According to party leader Branville McCartney, the party's commitment to female candidates shows that they are true agents for change.
You deserve more than funeral and wedding appearances. You don't need handouts. You deserve a hand up, and you deserve to be celebrated and encouraged. You need sustainable solutions. Yes, Eggleston, because you matter.
You can't be changed, and you're the ones who've been doing the foolishness over and over again. You cannot be the change, and you're the one who got us in this mess. And you cannot expect us to expect you, who got us in this mess, to take us out. That's both the PLP and the FNM.
Reporting for our news, I'm Georgie O'Bain.
In other news, the Judicial Committee of the Privy Council is back in New Providence for the 4th time in 11 years. 5 members of the board will spend this week hearing criminal and civil cases in the Court of Appeal. During a special sitting to mark their 4th working visit, Court of Appeal President Dame Anita Allen spoke highly of the significant role the Privy Council continues to play in the dispensation of justice for the Bahamian people.
The Bahamas continues to benefit from your fair, rational, and erudite judgments, which have provided consistent and valuable guidance on a myriad of important legal issues.
Whether ultimately we adopt the Caribbean Court of Justice as our final appellate court, establish a final appellate court, or maintain the status quo, the jurisprudence produced by the Judicial Committee to date is one of which we are all proud.
The Right Honourable Lord Mance, Justice of the Supreme Court of the United Kingdom and of the Privy Council, says they hear at least 6 appeals each year from the Bahamas. He also announced that back in London, they are now able to video link cases when appropriate, allowing counsel and clients to appear before the board without having to leave the Bahamas.
The Privy Council has notoriously no juridical location. It is everywhere and anywhere that its jurisdiction extends.
And still to come on our news, the deaths of several swimming pigs spark national outrage, so stay tuned.